And coming up on this week's show, we go behind the scenes at Siemens Goole Rail Village in Yorkshire. We ask whether government's latest plan to build houses on former railway lands is good business or just flogging off the family silver. And we look back at Alstom's greatest gathering in Derby and ponder, was it the most spectacular railway event in living memory? Welcome to Green Signals from me, Nigel Harris, and...
from me, Richard Bowker.
Well, Richard, what a week it's been, with the greatest gathering in Derby dominating railway matters. I have to say, I'm still recovering. I'm a few years older than you, and it takes me a bit to bounce back. Have you caught up on missed sleep yet?
Yeah, I have, but I came back to just the most mountain of stuff to do, so I have not caught up on that yet. But no, it was a fantastic event.
It really was, wasn't it? So we had a truly fabulous time there, and we got a bit of a treat coming up later in the show for you as a result. But more of that in a little while. On today's show, we begin with a film that Steph and Richard produced following their recent visit to Goole Rail Village. Now, regular listeners will recall we recently published a short film on the new Piccadilly Line Tube Trains that Siemens are currently building, most of which will be built in Goole. You can check that video out on our YouTube channel, and it's well worth looking at too. It's a cracker. It's proven very popular. But Steph and Richard also seized the opportunity for a good look around Goole Rail Village more widely. They spoke with apprentices and trainee engineers, and they found out what the investment by Siemens in Goole means for that community as a whole. Here's the film of their visit.
The UK's newest train manufacturing facility is right here in Yorkshire, and it's on a massive 67-acre site. Siemens is currently assembling up to 80% of the new air-conditioned deep tube trains for London's Piccadilly Line here for a £1.5 billion contract with London Underground. We recently looked in detail at the new trains in a standalone video on our channel, which is worth a watch if you want to find out more about those. But there's plenty of other impressive plans afoot for Goole, so we've come for a look behind the scenes of one of the most exciting manufacturing facilities in the UK. Goole isn't a place that's famous for much. Located on the River Ouse in the East Riding of Yorkshire, it's the UK's most inland port, but it's never been on the map for very much else. That was until Siemens decided to build a train manufacturing facility here. More than £200 million of investment is intended to create one of the most technologically advanced sites of its kind in the world. It will create 700 jobs, plus many more in the supply chain. At 247,000 square metres, the site is the equivalent of a massive 35 football pitches. We caught up with Siemens Joint Chief Executive and Managing Director of Rolling Stock and Customer Services, Sambit Banerjee, to find out more about the company's investment in Yorkshire. So why did you choose Goole then?
We worked very closely with the Department for Transport, with the Government of UK, and our main focus was to create this factory in an area where we can create more employment, jobs, skills, training, apprentices. So that is what drove the decision towards Goole.
And so how many people are working on this site now then?
At the moment, only if you take the Goole site as a whole, we are somewhere around 250, 260. And we are ever growing every day because we have to ramp up production for Piccadilly Line trains.
And so where have all the people come from that work here? Are they mainly local, or have they come from surrounding areas to be here?
A combination of both. So we have homegrown talents of Goole who are here, and we are so very proud of them. And then we have people coming from Leeds, from Selby, from the catchment area, Doncaster, and that's really a good mix of people coming here to work for us, you know.
So how much has Siemens invested in this site?
So we have invested roughly £250 million in this site, which is this facility, the components facility, the warehouse facility, and then if you add bogies, which is roughly another 50 million. So that's all put together, close to 300 million that we have invested in Goole.
And what's the plan once the Piccadilly Line order is fulfilled?
So once the Piccadilly line order is done, then the next is the Bakerloo line, which we are awaiting the instruction and the order from TfL.
And so are you hopeful that that will come soon enough that you'll have the continuity of work?
We are working very closely with our partners in Transport for London and to ensure that.
Are you worried that there's too much train manufacturing capacity in the UK now?
Not at all. I think where we are with the rail industry, a lot of old stock need to be replaced by new stock. I think there is more than enough work for all of us with train manufacturing facilities in UK.
Among the first new recruits to join the team at Goole in 2020 were 12 apprentices. We're lucky enough to meet a number of them when we visit. John Holliday is a warehouse supervisor apprentice. So what do you do here?
So I'm a warehouse supervisor apprentice. So my role is basically to help the flow of everything that's coming in and actually going out to the line. Lucky for us, our customers is only at the other side of the fence. So it's just making sure all that flows nice and smoothly. So the products will come in from the goods in area, which is this bit that we're in right now. So they will book it in, make sure it's all confirmed, quality check it, which will go into this station next behind us. And then from there, it gets allocated into our racking or pedestrian, wherever it is. And then from there, we have another team, separate team, which will go pick the items when the assembly teams need it. And then it's our opportunity to deliver it for them and make sure it's all done on time.
Brilliant. And so how long have you been working here?
So I've been here since August last year. So I'm still quite new. My apprentice is only 1 year. But you soon pick up and get into flow of stuff, and everybody's so welcoming, and we're all very they're wanting to pass on their skills and experience that they've already got onto you. So
were you local and you wanted to find something to?
I'm local, yeah. So I'm only 5 minutes away from here. So,
wow, so really close.
I've seen it growing up and seeing the factory getting built, and it's always been something that I've wanted to sort of get my hands on, especially with being a local lad as well. It always helps.
So has Siemens being here really changed Goole?
Yes, it has. It's brought loads of opportunities before, and it feels like with the big name that Siemens is, other people have seen what they're bringing and that other people are wanting to tag onto it before. So now in Goole, we've got a professional rugby team which has come onto it. We've got other factories and other big companies that are coming to Goole as well. And of course, we've got Siemens here now as well.
Next, we meet Megan Harness, a Level 3 manufacturing apprentice. So what do you do here, Megan?
So here as a manufacturing apprentice, I go around the assembly hall doing different placements on the different MOABs.
And what brought you to Siemens? What made you want to come and do this?
So I saw the job on LinkedIn and I saw that it was a recognised company that had really good apprenticeships for young people to give them the career development that they needed.
And so were you local to here?
I live near Hull, so it's not too far.
And so my understanding is that you're not just an apprentice here, but you do quite a lot of volunteering, is that right?
Yeah, so as part of your apprenticeship, you get the opportunity to go around and do different volunteering opportunities. So I've gone and done STEM activities in primary schools, secondary schools, career days at colleges, and a lot of general volunteering, like going to the food bank.
One of the most interesting places to have a poke around on site was the components facility, where we met Head of Production Rick Birkbeck.
So here within Goole, we're actually overhauling a range of different components for the trains. So these components range of traction gearboxes, traction motors, HVAC systems, so heating, ventilation, air conditioning units, but also fan systems as well. And so what I'd like to do is show you some of the components that we overhaul.
Yeah, great,
Yeah.
thank you.
So what we have here is the main department is for the gearbox overhauls.
Okay.
And as part of this, we're stripping down all different components to look at every single gear tooth and all the bearings and everything, to be looking for any defects or anything to make sure that we can prolong the life of that gearbox and that asset. So as part of this, we carry out the full overhaul where we're stripping the components down. The components then go for cleaning and assessment with the cleaning team. They come back through to assembly. And so all these different work cells that we have here is where then they're doing the assembly work to make sure that they're built to the right quality and as expected for the OEM.
So how many people have you got working in here?
So including any offices as well, we have about 92 people on site here. So from a blue-collar worker point of view, it's around 65, seven of which are apprentices. And we're continuing with the further 3 apprentices expecting to join us in September.
Oh, so you're growing the number of apprentices
Yes,
you've
we
got.
are.
Oh, that's great. So are they apprentices that will work on different parts of the site, or will they just come to here?
So these 3 apprentices, we set them on a programme to learn the different areas on site here. Because we have 4 different departments, as well as then the logistics team, the cleaning teams, everything, there's quite a robust programme that we put in place for them to be able to learn all different aspects of the business, as well as the offices as well, to be able to learn and excel throughout their apprenticeships. Once the gearboxes are fully built, we then also bring them over to a test field over here. So these are some of the finished units that we have, which have actually been tested. And then we have some which are going into test here, where we carry out a load test. So we're checking that the integrity of the gearboxes is the best it can and the best quality. By applying that load, it's resembling the same kind of torques and speeds that you'd expect on the train. So we're seeing all the different temperature and vibration levels to make sure it's all permissible.
When the Piccadilly Line order is complete, Siemens has far more in mind for Goole than just follow-on orders for the rest of the deep tube. There is also the hope that their battery train might go into production here too, so we asked Sambit a little about that. So am I right that your plan is also to build your zero verve battery train from here, should you get any orders for it for the UK?
Absolutely, same concept. We will build all our zero verve trains, battery by mode, in Goole as well. Car bodies will come from either Germany or Vienna, and then they will be manufactured and assembled in Goole. This is our answer to the government's request of creating a sustainable product and a value for money proposition for British taxpayers. We think over a period of 35 years, across the franchises, our concept of track and train can save £3.5 billion of taxpayers' money.
The man who has been masterminding the Zero Verve project is Graham Clark, Head of Business Development for Rolling Stock. So we caught up with him to find out more about the capability of the trains. What can you tell us about the Zero Verve battery train then? What's special about it?
Well, the Zero Verve is the new Siemens UK regional and commuter platform. So it's the new train we'll be building and hopefully supplying to the UK network for the next 10 to 15 years. It's designed specifically to be an electric multiple unit and a battery electric multiple unit with very, 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 very good levels of unassisted access for people with restricted mobility.
Where do you see there being a market for these in the UK? Where might we see them operating if you're successful?
There's a market in the UK we estimate for at least 2,000 vehicles over the next 12-15 years. And we'd like to win a big share of that. At the moment, Northern are out for a tender. TransPennine Express are looking to buy new trains. Behind them, we've got the likes of Chiltern, we've got Great Western. Scotland will be issuing an invitation to tender in the near future. So there's a lot of different customers or different potential customers literally spread right across the country.
And so obviously other people are developing battery trains as well. So what is it about this one that's different or that you think makes it the best solution?
The battery technology that we've used is lithium titanate oxide, which we think is a world-leading technology. It literally means that we'll only have to change the batteries or overhaul the batteries once in the life of the train. It's a very stable chemistry, and it gives us a very, very good range. It doesn't deteriorate, so we would expect a train to be operating fully functionally with 15 to 20 years without any change of battery at all.
And so how far can it go on its battery alone then?
We estimate our calculations are based on 50 miles, and that's based on a quite difficult set of criteria in terms of the required auxiliary load, also the external conditions of headwinds, and also our calculations are based on end of life, so that would be a battery which was effectively ready to be overhauled or scrapped. So it would never be less than 50 miles on a full charge under any condition.
It's clear that Siemens has some big plans for Goole that go way beyond the current order for Piccadilly Line trains. Hopefully an order for the Bakerloo line will follow, and then the race is on to win an order for battery trains.
Another good one, Richard. You and Steph are turning into a superb little video team, I have to say. I always enjoy the stuff you're producing, and I can say how good it is because I don't generally have much to do with it.
It was great. It was great fun. It was a really good visit, as ever. Warmly welcomed. There's actually some even more good news. Nigel.
Okay.
In that film, we mentioned 700 jobs, but that didn't take account of the new bogie assembly and service centre they're putting in. So that's going to secure 100 jobs, but also create a further 200. So that means that the Goole Rail Village will bring up around 1,000 new jobs to the East Riding of Yorkshire, which is obviously terrific news. And I was also doing a little bit of calculation on investment as I was driving through Chippenham actually this morning, which
as you do.
Well, it'll become obvious why in a minute. So the total investment into the Goole Rail Village is around 240 million, which is the original 200 plus, I think, 40 for that bogie assembly and service centre, which is currently in construction. But I suppose if you add the 100 million investment in the brand new Siemens Rail Technology Centre at Chippenham.
Oh, of course,
which I've just driven past this morning. And which I visited on the show recently when Peter Hendy did a groundbreaking ceremony there. I mean, that means we're talking 340 million of investment, which is a strong commitment to the UK. So, well done, Siemens.
Well, absolutely, hat tip for that. And I was particularly keen on the Goole development because in times long ago, it was a huge railway centre for the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway, of course, but then it hit hard times and the railway had declined. So how good is it to see real railway life being breathed into a once very big railway community, and it a bit of a renaissance there. So I was really happy to see that.
It is, and there's serious jobs. I mean, as you say, our video of the Piccadilly Line Train has been very successful. I think it's about 100,000 views or something, but you do get some rather silly comments. One person said, what's to be proud of here? All they're doing is plugging in the HVAC unit. And you kind of go, Pratt. I mean, and actually when you watch...
beat about the bush, Richard. Tell us what you really think.
When you watch that film you've just seen of the Goole Rail Village, what else goes on there, you realise they're not just plugging in the HVAC unit. I mean, for heaven's sakes. Anyway, so there you go. All best wishes to Siemens and the team up there.
We got a bit of it with some of the Stadler stuff, didn't it? What's to be proud of, the Swiss, which...
Yeah. I mean, you just kind of move along, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Nothing to see here. Now, thanks to the greatest gathering, we've not been able to do our usual deep dive into all the breaking news stories this week. So our next story is one that we will definitely need to come back to once we have done that, hopefully in the next week or so. So stand by. It's the news that Network Rail and London and Continental Railways property portfolios, easy for you to say, are to be merged into a new property development company called Platform 4, which will, according to the DFT, unlock surplus railway land across the country to kickstart 1 billion of development of up to 40,000 new homes over a decade, with over 15,000 in the next 5 years. The release went on to say, deep breath, thousands of potential homeowners and families are set to benefit from new high-quality homes built on surplus railway land as the Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander unlocks brownfield sites across the country for development. Previously, London and Continental Railways Limited and Network Rail's property team operated independently, each managing different aspects of surplus rail land across the UK. This fragmented approach often led to inefficiencies, duplicated efforts, and missed opportunities for strategic development. By working together instead of separately, Platform 4 is expected to generate an additional £227 million by delivering at greater pace and scale. The move will breathe life into forgotten corners of Britain's railway land, from disused goods yards to vacant industrial sites, kick-starting £1 billion worth of new developments across the country. Richard, on the face of it, it does sound interesting and logical, but I've got one or two worries, and there's bound to be catches. What do you think?
Well, once you can see way past the cliche bingo of that press statement,
which I thought as I was reading it,
it's spectacular. And I must admit, I'm struggling to see what these so-called real synergies are. I mean, they're very different portfolios, but anyway, that's probably for another time. There's a number of issues, aren't there? The first one, I suppose, that springs to mind is that the government's desperate for cash, and the DfT is desperate to balance its books. It's got that 5% year-on-year reduction in DEL, the departmental expenditure limit that we talked about on when we did the spending review. And actually, flogging off land is often seen as a bit of a quick fix. But the big issue is, you mentioned one of the interesting words in that press release was surplus. Right? And not everybody agrees with everybody else's view of what surplus is. The Rail Freight Group, Maggie Simpson, who's the director there, she's not dramatic. She's not, she doesn't sort of say things merely for effect. She's very sound, solid, and practical. And so I always listen to what they say. And the Rail Freight Group said this: rail freight must have efficient terminals across the country to operate. It's essential that government plans do not inadvertently, which is very polite of them, inadvertently restrict the availability of sites for rail freight or hamper the operation of existing locations through inappropriate adjacent development. And they went on to say, this is particularly critical in urban environments where suitable sites are increasingly scarce, yet demand for construction aggregates is at its highest. Obviously, if you're bringing it into major cities, if you've ever seen the Stone Terminal in Acton or something in West London, I think that's the biggest one one of the biggest ones in the country. So very, very sensible words of caution, I think, there from the Rail Freight Group.
Because you do get real problems if you build houses right next to those things, aren't they? We've seen it many times.
Oh, yeah.
But surely we think there's a wider issue. The construction industry itself is in crisis at the moment for a variety of reasons, which include a skills shortage. The industry is struggling to recruit and retain enough skilled workers, particularly young talent, to replace retiring professionals. Familiar story there, Richard. An ageing workforce like the railways. A large proportion of the current workforce is over 50, and there's a bow wave of retirements coming. Brexit. The departure of European workers due to Brexit has further reduced the available workforce. Perfect storm there, eh? Not only that, there was a fascinating piece in the Daily Telegraph on August 3rd, which noted, and this is astonishing, isn't it, that concrete sales were at their lowest for, wait for it, 62 years. According to the Mineral Products Association, quote, activity on the ground remains subdued, a result of housing demand held back by affordability pressures, alongside mounting supply-side challenges from rising costs impacting project viability, regulatory uncertainty, to delivery backlogs linked to the building safety regulations. And they are an issue, aren't they, Richard? The Building Safety Act 2022 was brought in post the dreadful fire at Grenfell. I actually woke up that night when that was on and had a quick look at and thought I'd found a disaster movie. I couldn't believe it was for real. And the BSR, the regulator, is dealing with new applications. Especially tricky are HRBs, and it's all a bit slow. And applications for remediation for existing buildings too. And the word on the street is they are seriously under-resourced, leading to delays and significantly increased costs. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, for those who aren't aware, HRB just means high-rise buildings. That's all that is. So exactly as you say,
high-risk buildings.
Oh, is it high risk?
I think.
Oh, you might be right.
It's probably both, actually.
I think it probably is. I mean, I think it certainly. I think it certainly includes those buildings that are over 7 stories.
Yeah,
so
but I
it
think it's
probably
high risk
is
because they're high.
right.
Yeah,
because the high rise. Okay.
Sorry, I'm not being a nerd in it.
No. These are important things. We always like to be absolutely accurate. But it's an interesting point about the building safety regulator. I mean, by the way, no one is saying, well, certainly Nigel and I aren't saying that it's a bad thing. I mean,
no.
There was clearly something needed to be done. But the challenge for the building safety regulator, they're in a period of transition from the old arrangements, and they're not just dealing with new buildings; they're also dealing with all the remediation works on
Cultural
the
issues
existing
and all
buildings.
sorts of things.
Very complicated stuff, and it's adding cost and it's slowing things down. So that same article in the Telegraph, which you've just mentioned, and look, we know it's the Telegraph, and we're not saying they're a bad or a good newspaper, but they do have a sort of perspective, don't they? A political perspective. So we're not daft. We know that. But they went on to say that according to the Mineral Products Association, Labour, the government, is going to miss its target of building 1.5 million new homes by the end of this Parliament, quotes, by a significant margin. Right. So my concern with this, Nigel, is that the government, because they do love this, they can create another quango, because I guess that's effectively what this platform 4 is, although I think it's going to be a wholly owned subsidiary of GBR at some point, citing efficiencies that I suspect are actually largely illusory in practice, with bold claims. We're going to release all this. We're going to we're going to have 40,000 new homes and $1 billion. The problem is, unless the government or someone, because we always assume it's the government, but they don't have a great track record on delivery, unless somebody fixes the fundamental issues of the construction industry with all the problems there, these sort of stuff that was in that Platform 4 DFT press release, it's going to end up being a bit like the grain targets of the Eastern Bloc. The next year we're going to double output. Doesn't happen, and so it doesn't matter, and it ends up being largely irrelevant. But actually, in this case, it could even be worse, because if you're not careful, property developments, if they go wrong or they don't happen at pace, they can cause blight, and they can actually crowd out the investment you probably really want, which is the stuff Maggie Simpson's talking about, which is rail freight development. So I think this is another one of those big announcements, big claims, but there's actually some of the core building blocks, excuse the pun, are not in place.
That's right. And of course, this is not a new concern, is it? You, like me, may remember this coming up many years ago when you were at the SRA, I think. And it was Tom Windsor made a tellingly simple point, I remember him saying, on this business of keeping hold of land which we might need for freight. And Tom had said the important thing about land near the railway is that it's near the railway.
Yeah.
And he was
bang
right on about that.
He was absolutely right.
And it's Maggie's point is, because I think we've seen a few already where there were very difficult issues in getting planning consent for goods depots on railway land because they build houses right next to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't mean Nigel would say we should protect everything. Some stuff is genuinely surplus, but the point's very well.
We just need to take care and look for rather than I worry when I hear, and my first worry is it was a Labour government seeking to just find a quick fix and flog off a load of railway land to build houses on to get the target, and it might be done too quickly and in haste.
Yeah, it's not. By the way, it's not something that only the Labour government does. I mean,
no,
but
in this instance,
it's governments. Indeed.
Indeed, other governments are available from time to time. Right, let's look at something a bit more pleasant, shall we? We promised you something from the greatest gathering, and so here it is. And in the opening shot of this, that very pleasant drone shot, general view of the works, Richard, I naturally spent a little bit of time figuring out which alleyway we're on, because all those buildings are a quarter of a mile long, aren't they? Yeah. Where we were, and then right in the distance there's car park C, and I reckon it was about 3/4 of a mile, which means my creaky old knees walked 7.5 miles over the 5 days of there, just getting backwards and forwards from the car park to the stand, which is why I collapsed into a chair each morning when I arrived there with a packet of paracetamol in my shirt in my shirt pocket. But wasn't it? Look, this was a full-on team effort from Green Signals. There was me, there was Richard, there was Steph, and big hat tip to Richard's 17-year-old son, Charlie, without whom we could not have done this, because he did a brilliant job. Like all 17-year-olds, he takes one look at a piece of tech and he knows how to work it almost instinctively. And I thought he did a fantastic job on
He
the
did.
audio-visual mixer and the camera selection and all the stuff that was required for our 5 live streams. Excuse me. So thanks, Charlie. You did a brilliant job, but oh my God, was it not exhausting?
It was. Shall we roll the film?
We're going to produce a highlights reel in due course.
We
course.
are.
And there'll be some extra content for members of too, because Richard had his eye glued to the viewfinder the whole time. But in the meantime, if you weren't able to attend this extraordinary event, and it was, here's a summary of what it was all about. Roll VT, as they say.
Between August the 1st and the 3rd, 2025, Alstom's largest rail vehicle manufacturing plant, Derby's famous Litchurch Lane site, became home to quite possibly the most spectacular celebration of rolling stock and railway-themed items we've ever seen in the UK. It was called simply The Greatest Gathering. Designed as one of the high points in the Railway 200 celebration year, Alstom threw open the doors to Derby Litchurch Lane for the first time in around 50 years. And what an event. Green Signals was there to broadcast live each day of the Greatest Gathering, but we also had plenty of time to look around. The previous record for the number of rolling stock exhibits at a single event was thought to be around 50. The final tally at the Greatest Gathering is thought to be around 140. That's what you call raising the bar. The Greatest Gathering was the brainchild of James Dobson, Operations Delivery Manager at Avanti West Coast. We spoke to James during one of our live broadcasts, when he and his co-organiser, Gus Dunster, came to explain how it had all come about. Who had the idea, and where did you have the idea?
So it was me. So I
your
did.
fault, Ben.
It's my fault, all my fault. I did the 2019 Open Day at LSL Crew All Change. We did that, and it was just really rewarding just to see how much people enjoyed that event, and also because we raised a significant sum of money for charity. So ever since then, I've always had like the appetite to do something again, and the Railway 200 year was fast approaching. I just thought we absolutely have to do something to mark that, and sort of take the Crew All Change concept and just magnify it as much as possible to really leave a legacy for Railway 200.
Some 12,500 visitors came to the Greatest Gathering each day, and they were treated to an amazing display of diesel locomotives from the humblest shunter to the largest mainline machine, electric locomotives from the earlier days of intercity electrification in the UK to the most modern high-performance freight locomotives. There were multiple units of varying classes, again representing the development of the type over the years, and of course, always a crowd favourite, a magnificent display of steam locomotives, including some of the most famous steam locomotives of all time, as well as the oldest operational steam locomotive in the country, Furness Railway number 20.
What's your highlight of the show, apart from FR20, obviously?
I think just being here, to be honest. I haven't seen everything. I'm just delighted to see so many friends and acquaintances, like your good self, here. We're here for the crack and to be for what is a fantastic 200th birthday party, isn't it?
The event kicked off with an opening ceremony, which itself was preceded by the arrival of a Class 390 Pendolino, bringing VIPs and paying guests from the Branch Line Society. The train was hauled onto the site by Class 57, number 57307 Lady Penelope, and was certainly a real treat for anyone with a passion for travelling over very rare sections of track. The opening ceremony itself was attended by, amongst others, the French ambassador to the UK, and then Nigel caught up with a couple of well-known guests to see what they thought of the event.
What about this show? What do you think of this?
I just think it's great, and I think the enthusiasm, I mean, I live in Derby, and the word around the place is people just can't get the tickets. And I know they're coming from all over the country. So I think it's been a fantastic idea. It's something that needs to be thought about for future, every 5 years or something like that, I think would be a brilliant recognition of the industry. It just shows the passion and the love for the industry right across the country.
This is just the pinnacle of my entire 36 years career. The whole event is just got to be here. It's the biggest thing we've ever had. It's the pride and joy of me saying, finally we can get the gates open. We can show everybody what we've been doing here, how we do it, the people that do it. And it gets me here, as you know.
What does this mean to you?
It's absolutely fantastic. Look, 40,000 people visiting Derby in the next 3 days is brilliant. But it's a great celebration of the heritage of rail in Derby, and also a look forward at the really bright, innovative future that our designers, our engineers will offer the rail industry. So look forward to the next 200 years, as well as reflecting back on the last 200 years.
In addition to the vast array of rolling stock, the site was packed full of other displays of railway-related activity, from narrow gauge steam brought from the Festiniog Railway in North Wales, and the Perrygrove Railway in Gloucestershire, and the Ravenglass and Eskdale Railway in Cumbria. There were displays of locomotive nameplates and totems of stations. Model railway enthusiasts were very well catered for, from N gauge through the very popular 00 gauge and right up to 5-inch gauge. There was even a chance to ride behind a Class 20, albeit slightly smaller than the real thing. At the greatest gathering with his superb Making Tracks model of Milton Keynes was Pete Waterman, music industry mogul and well-known railway enthusiast. Pete Waterman, great to see you here. What do you think of this?
It's amazing. And you know what's so great? The youngsters that are here. I mean, you'd expect this to be an old do. Lots of young people here. That's fantastic news for us. I think, I'm bowled over just how many families have come.
It's from the youngest of all, and you can see the love and the passion in their eyes.
I said this yesterday. I've never, ever, ever seen the love like this. It really, and that's not an over. I'm not blowing that out. That's real true. The enthusiasm and love here is phenomenal.
Each day of the greatest gathering started with a celebratory whistle up at 10 o'clock. And then the crowds flocked in to enjoy the superb displays on offer. There were a few celebrities on hand as well, enjoying the fun. From Jeremy Vine and Mark Radcliffe, who kindly popped into the Green Signals tent to say hello, to well-known train spotter Francis Bourgeois and former Top Gear presenter and motoring journalist Chris Harris. One thing that was refreshing about the greatest gathering was that the exhibits were not all strictly off limits. There were plenty of opportunities to see inside cabs or climb up on the footplate. There was a Class 345 Elizabeth Line train offering rides on the test track, a Jubilee Class steam locomotive in action, and there was one of Rail Operation Group's Class 93s offering cab rides to raise money for charity, and plenty more. It's clear that everyone who came was having a great time. Nigel managed to speak to a few of those lucky enough to have got tickets.
Enjoying it?
Wonderful day.
Yeah. What's wonderful about it?
Everything, the nostalgia, the heritage, and just seeing some trains.
And what do you think of this show?
Absolutely fabulous.
So have you been to anything like this before?
We've been to a few, yes. We've been to Crewe, and not as good as this.
Sadly, of course, all great things come to an end, and by the end of Sunday the 3rd of August, it was time to wrap things up. We were therefore delighted to welcome Ben Goodwin, Communications Director for Alstom UK and Ireland and one of the organisers of the greatest gathering, onto the Green Signals show to give his reflections.
One gentleman, I'm not going to name any names, but turned up at the gate with his locomotive on the back of a lorry and said, "I want it here at the Greatest Gathering."
It's such an amazing.
It just turned up.
And
on
of course,
spec,
me
yeah?
being me, I'm a sucker for anybody who does a grand gesture. And I said, yeah, of course. So we've I'll tell you where it is afterwards.
Okay.
But, you know, and I think that's the thing about this event. Yes, it's our name above the door. Yes, this is Alstom's The Greatest Gathering. But it's only been made possible thanks to the industry has made this possible. And when I say the industry, I don't just mean the Tox, the Fox, you know, the Roscoes. It's all the heritage groups.
Everybody.
You know, they're all here. The model railways. You know, the people who sell train T-shirts and tea towels and things like that. And I think, you know, we often see each other at industry events and things like that, but they are quite segregated.
Yeah.
You know, you have the business people go to the rail business events, you have the Preservation Society go.
That's
but
a
here,
good point.
You've met everybody from the managing director of, you know,
It really
of
is
the big
railway
operators.
family, isn't it?
Right, you know, it is railway family, you know, and what's been really special to me as well is within that mix, you've got so many families, and I mean, today it's about 25% children. We knew that Sunday was going to be more.
We reckon that is the percentage,
yeah,
is it?
today.
Fantastic.
And also it's local people as well, so the majority of the tickets were sold to people within the Midlands.
Congratulations to James Dobson and Gus Dunster, who had the idea and decided to make it happen. To Alstom Transport for laying on a truly spectacular event. And to every member of the entire railway family who worked together as one to deliver something truly magical for the 40,000 plus people who came to Derby and have witnessed one of the greatest shows we've seen in the UK, never mind just for the railway, for many years. It really was the greatest gathering.
So I thought you did a great job there, Richard, capturing many aspects of the show. I mean, I never saw the model railways. I never got into there, and there were other bits of it I never saw as well. On a 90-acre site where every corner was filled with trains, that's hardly surprising, is it?
Do you know, there were some bits I didn't find. On the very last day, I was planning to go and see the IMECI Challenge, and Bill Reeve came to say hi, and I wandered off, got waylaid about 17 times by people wanting to say hi, but never found it. So I'm terribly sorry, Bill. But it was like that site, wasn't it? It was everywhere you looked. You went, oh, wow, you know, there's just something else.
All gauges, all forms of traction.
Yeah.
It was genuinely extraordinary. And just one quick personal comment, Richard. Ben, who got the whole show together, mentioned my old friend Catherine Lancaster, and I've got to do that. When I first started going to Derby in 1995, Catherine was there. I left rail in October 23, and Catherine is still there. And you interviewed her, and she's been there 36 years. So thanks, Catherine, for all the help to generations of rail writers, who, including me.
She's brilliant.
She lives and breathes that site.
Yeah. No, look, it was terrific fun, wasn't it? It was terrific fun.
And I honestly, you know, sometimes we use superlatives like extraordinary and once in a lifetime, and they're not really appropriate. But oh my God, I think they were there. I cannot see another one of those taking place. And in actual fact, I don't know whether you've had a look on YouTube this morning, but the aftermath is just as impressive. The 4 Carnforth engines, the Merchant Navy, the Black 5, the Jubilee, and the Royal Scot, all went back on a quadruple header of 5 Mark 1s.
I'm delighted to say, Nigel, that if you are watching this show on YouTube, as you have been saying that, we've been running a bit of video of exactly that, which was very kindly supplied to us by Ben at Alstom, of those 4 locomotives. It is the most unbelievable sight.
I mean, normally, multiple headers don't do anything for me because they're just so unauthentic, but somehow that did it. It was an appropriately OTT full stop to an event of such scale. It kind of reflected it. Tim Dunn posted a nice piece of video this morning of them setting off from Derby, these 4 massive engines going by. And then there's another video by somebody who's got it out there as well, and it's just wonderful. A quadruple header.
Indeed.
Right.
More film to come.
Indeed. And now it's time to thank everyone who supports us. First of all, our thanks to Ria. the Railway Industry Association, our programme supporter, and Rail Business Daily, our media supporter. Then a big thank you to everyone who's left us a super thanks on YouTube this week, and it's a pleasantly longer list than normal, and you all are. Ben Boggis, John Stokes, JP69, Peter Ridgway, Marion Bloom, Bob Walsh, Peter Curtis, Alistair Rutledge, Martin Butler, OBE, Graham Whitley, Callum Thornellow, Nigel Mapston, Alan Barnes, Lewis Gates, Michael York, John Kirkman, Chris Exley, Alan Kirkman, Tony Mears, and the Independent Brig Line Rail Group. Thanks ever so much for these super thanks. They really do make a difference to us as we creep steadily towards sustainability.
And thanks also to our new members. Now, we're running a special offer for the Greatest Gathering at the moment, which I'll explain a bit in a minute. But we've got loads of new members this week as a result. So they are Jeffrey Ford, Daniel Schertz, Ben McMain, Ian Nicholson, Simon H., Daryl Slynn, Angus Swanson, Christopher Lee, Illuminate, Eric Wagstaff, Wesley Hurst, Jonathan C., Dave Francis, Colin Sandall, Paul Tisserant, Martin Thomas, Matthew Simmons, Anthony Pilkington, Martin Beer, Andy Crisp, Kings Hill Pete, Paul Tetlaw, Thomas Hayward, David Kingston, Stuart Broadbent, M18 Tank Destroyer, Derek Mears, and Tom N. And the following who upgraded from bronze to silver, who are David Hayes, AC 93 UK, and John Jeffries. So thank you so much. Now, for the Greatest Gathering, as I mentioned just a moment ago, we are running a special membership promotion, which means you can get 50% off your first month's membership, whichever tier, whether it's bronze, silver, or gold that you choose, if you sign up via Patreon. I'm sorry, it's got to be via Patreon. YouTube doesn't have the facility to do these sort of short-term discounts. But if you go to the Patreon website, it's patreon.com/green signals. That's our members URL. And the offer code is GG, as in Greatest Gathering, 50, and then the word off, right? So GG50 off. It is important you do it on a desktop, not a mobile, because we don't think the offer code works on a mobile app. Do not ask me why. I have no idea. Elves and Pixie stuff that. But if you do it on the desktop, it works absolutely fine. And the offer is open until the 8th of August. So that's Friday. So just 24 hours after you've seen this show. So if you want to join, then that's how to do it and get advantage of an offer. Take advantage of an offer. Now you can see all the members and supporters, and we are immensely grateful to everybody in the end credits of the show. If you are a gold or silver member and you have just joined with one of those two, please do drop us an email to info@greensignals.org with your address. The reason for that, we keep it very secure. It's all encrypted, all that kind of stuff. But the reason we need that is to be able to send you the things that you get as part of your silver and gold membership. And we can't do that if we don't have your address. But I think if you join via Patreon, when you do join, you get the option to add in your address. So if you could do that, that would be helpful. So thank you for all the members.
Indeed, and it was good to meet quite a lot of them, wasn't it, at Derby?
Dozens, literally dozens.
And they clearly love what we're doing, which I find was very humbling.
Either that or they just, when they were stood there, they felt they had to be nice. I don't know which it was, but they were, honestly, thank you so much for people. Because they only had 6 hours in this show, and it was nearly impossible to see everything, even with 6 hours. So to even give 10 minutes to come and say hi was really, really kind. And we loved meeting and chatting to every single one of you.
We did. That wonderful sense of community, which is existing among Green Signalers. And now it's time for this week's Railway News Roundup. So let's go. As part of the Railway 200 celebrations, a cross-industry partnership celebrating 200 years of the modern railway, LNER has gazed into the future to predict what train travel could look like in the year 2075. Partnering with applied futurist Tom Cheesewright and asking train passengers of today what they would most like to see in 50 years' time, the predictions have been brought to life as windows into the future. in the LNER Train of the Future, which was stationed at London King's Cross between July 30th and August the 1st. Key industries of a Train of the Future could include floor-to-ceiling windows. That could be a bit unsettling, couldn't it? Providing wonderful 360-degree views of the landscape. This sounds ideal for the 57% of people questioned who agreed that simply gazing out at the countryside is their favourite thing to do on a train. Quite right, too. In addition, an augmented reality layer adding surreal scenes and gamification options, there's a good word, could please the 60% who say they need constant entertainment while travelling. But, and how ironic is this, with speed being one of the main reasons those surveyed used train travel, 66%, Cheesewright predicts that new technologies could allow UK trains to go even faster, further slashing travel times. Maybe what we need is some kind of high-speed network, Richard? Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah, well, hang on. I tell you, I mean, I've did quite a lot of maths in the past, and I quite like statistics. I'm slightly struggling with 57% who just wanted to gaze out the window, and 60% who said they needed constant entertainment while travelling. Okay, but anyway.
Maybe the gazing out the window is part of the constant entertainment while travelling.
Oh, maybe it is with your augmented reality layer. Okay. Anyway, next story. So the Office of Rail and Road, the ORR, the industry's regulator, has approved some additional services from December 2025 for 3 open access operators. Now, they're not new ones. These are extending or adding to their existing services on the East Coast Main Line. And just very quickly tell you what they are. So Grand Central get 2 additional Wakefield, Kirkgate, Bradford interchange services on weekdays and Saturdays, 1 additional Bradford interchange to Wakefield, Kirkgate service on weekdays and Saturdays, and 1 additional Bradford interchange to Wakefield, Kirkgate service in each direction on Sundays, right? Hull Trains, an additional northbound service weekdays and Saturdays between London, King's Cross and Hull. Lumo have done quite well. They get 1 additional return service between King's Cross and Newcastle on weekdays, and 1 additional service in opposing directions on a Saturday and Sunday. And then they've also got some Glasgow extension, Nigel. So the extension of existing King's Cross to Edinburgh services so that Lumo can provide 2 northbound services and 1 southbound service between King's Cross and Glasgow on weekdays, 1 in each direction on Sundays. Now, ORR said it rejected other proposed services from those applicants on the basis of insufficient capacity and potential performance impacts, or impacts on the Secretary of State's funds, including rejecting an application from Hull Trains for new services between London, King's Cross and Sheffield. Now, interestingly, the ORR said the services are factored into the December 2025 timetable. I think that's the velocity timetable, isn't it? That's presumably the same December 2025 timetable that Network Rail are already on record as saying will lead to a material impact on performance. So we'll wait and see whether these are the things that have tipped it over or not. I suspect we won't know. It either just won't work very well or not. But these are factored into the December 2025 timetable.
Couldn't help a wry smile at the extensions to Glasgow for Lumo, given that LNER have largely or completely recently withdrawn from going to Glasgow, haven't they?
Yeah, but from Newcastle, I suppose it's quite a good thing, isn't it? Really,
I mean, it is a good thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Network Rail is to fit special beams to a bridge carrying one of Britain's busiest main lines to provide protection from lorries and other HGVs that crash into it. The Brighton Road Bridge near Coulsdon South Station, which carries hundreds of thousands of passengers on the Brighton main line over the A23, has been hit many times by large vehicles too tall to fit underneath, causing major delays and disruption to train services. To tackle this, Network Rail will install specially designed steel protection beams and support frames that absorb vehicle impacts and protect the structure. Those are those sacrificial beams. They're really ugly. As regulars will know, this really winds me up because lorry drivers have to know by law their height and all the rest of it, and yet it happens again and again. And to me, there doesn't seem the appropriate sanction for it.
No, I know it's something that does seem to be continually vexing because, of course, it's everybody that suffers. Principally the rail travellers. on something that really is nothing to do with
And some
the
get hit
railway.
again and again. The A5 is one
Again
over in
and again.
these Midlands, and
No,
that what
agreed.
a grand thing. Sorry, I'll shut up.
Hey, well, a positive news story now. The East Midlands Railway Summer Sale is back for 2025, offering customers a chance to save up to 50%
Hurrah.
on selected advance tickets across their network, including all their popular routes, obviously, from 28th of July. So it has already begun. More than 100,000 discounted tickets became available to book, with fares starting from as little as £3.60. Travel dates run between August 4th and September 7th, but customers say EMR are advised to act fast because tickets are limited on first-come, first-served basis. Tickets must be booked by August 10th, so you don't have very long to do it, and are valid only on the train and date shown on the ticket. Advance purchase is required, and all fares are for one-way travel. Now, before you finish this news section, just to say to listeners, we're very aware there was loads of other stuff that happened this week. But as you said right at the beginning, we've not been able to capture everything because of the Greatest Gathering, but we know about the tunnel. I think it's at Whitehaven, isn't it? Or Workington that's closed.
Yes.
The Cumbrian line, we need to come back to that. As we predicted, there's now there's now service changes, in place on the West of England line. So although Crewkerne Station has reopened, it's now it's now a 2-hourly service, not an hourly service. So no, there's loads of stuff that happened whilst we were away, and we will pick it all up in due course.
The news editor in me is pained at the fact that we haven't been able to do all that stuff. But, dear Green Signalers, you are looking at 2/3 of the Green Signals team. And, we're pretty good, we like to think. We can't be in two places at once just yet.
We should also say the other third is enjoying a well-earned family holiday. So it's basically down to you and me, which is another reason why it's not being quite as on it as we normally are. There we go.
Indeed. And Steffi's out on the beach with the family, and quite right too. And that's the end of this week's Railway News Roundup. If you'd like to send us any snippets of news or big stories that are related to the railways around you or more nationally, please don't assume we pick everything up. It's better to be told several times than miss something. Then please let us know. We can't promise to read them all out, of course, but the best ones we will. And we will always name check whoever sends an email which we use. So please send that to news@greensignals.org.
Absolutely, which means it's now time to do the quiz.
Hoorah.
Now, last week's question was this. How many rolling stock exhibits were there at the Greatest Gathering? Now, some debate about this, as there always is. But the answer we're going to go for is 140. Now, technically, I would have accepted 139 as well, because I know one loco had to disappear off on Saturday to actually go and earn its keep. And actually, in addition to that, Flying Scotsman went off-site, but then came back on after it had brought the Bellman Pullman into Derby, I think.
It did.
So there was a slightly fluid thing, but so I would have accepted 139 or 140. And the winner, randomly chosen from all the correct answers we had, was James Nichols. So well done, James. If you send us an email to quiz@greensignals.org with your address, I will get your mug out to you. I am a little bit behind, but again, because of the Greatest Gathering, so I shall get a splurge of mugs sent out in the next few days. A splurge of mugs, yeah, the collective noun for a group of Green Signals mugs. So this week's quiz. Now, we had I've done an easy one this week, a really easy one, because it's been that kind of week.
Old MacDonald had a.
Yeah, it's a bit more than that, but not a lot. We published our video of the Class 93. It was actually Tuesday, the 5th of August, which if you've not seen it, I do encourage you to see it. Had great fun. And in the middle of it, there's a test trip that I was very privileged to go on from Crewe to Carlisle and back. It was overnight. It was absolutely shattering, but it was brilliant fun. And on the way back, a driver, Rob Buchanan, stopped at a specific location, and we did a standing start at the foot of a gradient with an 1,800-ton train, and it was absolutely extraordinary. Where is the location from where we did that standing start? What's the name of that location?
Just walked away with it, didn't it?
Yeah. So if you let us know your answer to that by midday on Saturday, August the 9th, by sending us an email to quiz@greensignals.org. We'll put all the winners in a hat. Sorry, all the correct answers in a hat and draw out a winner. There you go.
Indeed. Right. Hull Trains has launched a new option where customers can choose to donate their delay repay funds to charity. For the first time, proceeds can be directed to the company's new official charity partner for 2025, P.A.U.L, as in Paul, for brain recovery, a Hull-based organisation that supports people across the Humber region affected by acquired brain injury and has recently expanded to support the communities in North and North East Lincolnshire. In 2012, Paul Spence was the victim of an unprovoked attack and suffered a brain hemorrhage. Following his discharge from a high dependency unit, Paul and his family faced a long and challenging road to recovery. They quickly realised there was a lack of support available in the community. After beginning to practice good coping strategies and choosing to follow a healthy lifestyle to manage his challenges, Paul felt he wanted to share his lived experiences to help others and establish the charity. In 2016, the P.A.U.L for Brain Recovery Centre opened as an access point in the community to help ensure that people can get support and guidance after suffering a brain injury. And well done to all of you. Stuart Jones, Managing Director of First Rail Open Access, said, "The focus and determination that the P.A.U.L for Brain Recovery team have to make a difference to the local community is very inspiring. I'm really pleased that we're able to give our customers an easy way to support the great work they do by directly donating any delay repay funds." What a great idea.
Isn't that lovely? Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. Well done, Hull Trains. Yeah.
Absolutely. And sadly, all good things come to an end, as has this podcast. That's all we've got time for this week. Thanks so much for watching or listening. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. It makes a real difference to us. And if you really want to support us, find out about membership on YouTube or Patreon and become a true green signaller. But most importantly, join us again next week for this show, which will always be free. And we'll see you then. Until then, it's goodbye from me, and
it's goodbye from me.
Have a fantastic week.